Hey everybody, this is Real People Gaming. Today we're bringing you Real People Rating. I'm Dustin.
And I'm Jen.
We recently visited the Castle Point Anime Convention in Secaucus, New Jersey. We're going to give you a quick little rundown and review of it.
The Castle Point Anime Convention actually started off at a college. Anime Critics United Inc. was founded in 2008 when they started this convention. I believe this was the first year that they had it at the Meadowlands Exposition Center in New Jersey, and they definitely outdid themselves.
Absolutely.
It's run by office heads and current students at the Stevens Institute of Technology.
Alright, so a few first thoughts. Very well run convention. This is their first year, like she said, in the big venue. They really seem to have their act together on it. Meadowlands Expo Center in Secaucus, it's very familiar to us. We've gone to quite a few conventions there. East Coast Comic Con, we were there for
A video game
con. It's always a great place, just a big open space. Very well utilized this year around. I didn't feel like anything was on top of each other. I felt like everything was in a nice place, had a good flow to it. Any of your thoughts on it?
I think I agree with you. The use of the space was really well done. There was one main strip in the middle of the venue, and then you had everything surrounding it. To your left, you immediately had the main events area, and then you had the gaming area in front of that, and then to the right, you had the artist alley, the vendor area, and then you had the food and wrestling area.
One thing I really liked about the use of space is that you had the vendors selling merchandise on one end, and then the artist gallery on the other end. It wasn't like a lot of the other conventions that we've gone to where you had a lot of repeat product. With the artist gallery, everybody had their own unique product they were peddling, and there seemed to be a nice little variation of vendors at this thing. There wasn't a lot of overlap in product. There wasn't a lot of people selling the same stuff. So that to me made every single stand that you went to feel a little more unique.
The artist alley, I think, had a wide range of types of merch. I think that it was more than I've ever seen, because usually you go to conventions and you just see like fan art and stuff like that, maybe pins. But this one definitely had the cute charms. They had like clothing, very cool area, very diverse. And for the artist alley, not the artist alley, for the vendor area, there was no repeats. You had video games, you had wall scrolls, you had clothing, you had a few different clothing, but they weren't the same. You had snack stand area. Definitely really well thought out vendor space. Easy to go through, not too crowded.
Something unique not a lot of the other conventions had was a wide array of different food vendors. You had your staples, hot dogs, pretzels, pizza, but then you also had food trucks outside of the venue that were more Asian themed.
Yeah, so inside you had different vendors. There was two separate ones, but then when you went over to the Holiday inside of the convention, they had food trucks as well, which was pretty cool. Typically, our experience at the Meadowlands is kind of like
fried, quick food,
not even
grab
like
and go.
Good, but this one had more higher quality food, really. Panels. They had a really nice selection of panels this year. Again, we only went on Sunday, but some of the highlight panels for me were definitely the Masquerade. I love cosplay competitions. It's pretty much the main reason I go to these conventions, and it's my favorite part. They had a really cool K-pop dance party where, and I've never seen this before, where they play certain K-pop songs or whatever, and then if you know the dance, you run up and do the dance, and I thought that was like super fun, and everybody really seemed to like it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seemed like most of the people all knew the dances, so it was very energetic, very lively, and a very engaged setting.
Very cool. We went to Not Your Waifu Panel or something like that. As you walked through the convention, there was these like scene setter backgrounds. They had cherry blossoms and some other cool things. I just thought that was a fun photo op for everybody, because it makes the convention stand out and be a little bit more engaging, and there's going to be more pictures being taken, and I thought that was nice for the fans.
Yeah, we took some pictures with them, and it seemed like everybody was really using them, and it just made for a nice little touch.
I definitely think so too. the gaming area was good.
Mm-hmm.
They had arcade games, rhythm games, they had tournaments going on, and they had...
Board game section.
Oh, board game section, yeah, they had board game section and some tabletop
It was very
stuff.
active, too.
Yeah.
A lot of people playing there, so it was nice to see that. Shout out to Cosplay Pro Wrestling. We've seen them a couple times. They usually make their rounds between the anime conventions and the video game conventions in the area. Just really well done. A lot of fan engagement. It was very fun.
Had a narrative.
It had a narrative to it. It's a lot of the Nintendo, MASH characters. You had comic characters. Pretty much a lot of nerd culture blended together. Highlights of these things are always the masquerades for Jen and myself. Let's talk about the masquerade a little bit. What do you feel about it?
I think the Masquerade was super fun.
Mm-hmm.
The audience loved it. There was glow sticks. It was a strictly performance masquerade.
Mm-hmm.
There was no just walkthroughs of costumes. I think the quality was really high. The sound system sounded great.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's an issue. The host was fun and energetic. Yeah. And the acts were really good.
Like you just said yourself, too, everybody in the audience was very amped up and engaged in the whole thing. It was a fun watch. It was a fun vibe to be around.
It definitely was. As opposed to other conventions we've been to, the staff was very nice this time around. Very sweet people, no bad attitudes.
Yeah, at one point in time I had misplaced my phone, staff member found it, quickly got back in touch with me. Just very attentive staff. Everybody there seemed like they were enjoying themselves. Nobody seemed like they were forced to be there.
No, definitely not. And as an overall venue, great choice.
Mm-hmm.
The parking was easy. It was pretty easy to get to. And again, it had a really good flow.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, this is their first year in this kind of a venue. They did a great job with it. And I really feel like this kind of sets the bar for the other anime conventions. It was small, like I said earlier, a little bit more homegrown of a convention. But they did a really great job of making sure everything was very streamlined. Everything was, in its proper place. Nothing felt overlapped or crammed together.
They just really thought about the overall experience of the convention and making sure everybody had a good time. That's how I felt it felt like.
It felt like it was actually being produced and run by people that were fans of conventions and not like from a corporate mindset where they just try to get as much in as possible. For being such a well-produced convention, no merchandise for Castle Point, which was a little disappointing because I always like to have my little trophy when I leave a place like that.
And the staff had shirts. The staff had Castle Point shirts, and they were nice.
They were very nice shirts, a nice logo design from a graphic standpoint. But yeah, no merchandising whatsoever other than the handouts that you got when you first came in. So that was a little bit of a miss for me. Another thing that I thought might have been a slight miss was the main events area being right next to the video game section and right next to the main entrance. And usually those things are a little more isolated, but I guess because of space constraints they couldn't really do it this year. While the actual productions that were being held inside the area were great, there was a lot of noise pollution from all the ends.
Especially for the string quartet.
Yeah, there was a string quartet that played at one point in time that was being completely drowned out. And it's by nobody's fault other than just the, sheer use of space at that point.
Even though the Masquerade was super on point, high production, great acts and costumes and everything like that, it was lacking on attendees.
Yeah.
On entrance. There just weren't enough people that were entered in it.
Mm-hmm. I think there might have been maybe 5 or 6, maybe 7 of them.
Yeah, it was like 6 or 7.
It was pretty
maybe.
low, yeah. So as well done as it was a very quick one.
And maybe since it was act-based, I don't know what the guidelines were for it, but since it was act-based, maybe if they had some walkthroughs, maybe it was too early in the day. I don't know what caused the low entrant rate, but wake up people, this was an awesome event. You have to get into this cosplay competition next year, 2020, be there, because the Masquerade was great. It just needed more people.
There was a lot of excellent cosplay there that could have really walked away with something.
Yeah. There was a manga room that I was excited to look at, and I took a brief walkthrough, but it was just really small and cramped, and being a little socially anxious, I didn't want to hang out there and read books because it was so tight and cramped. I would have liked a bigger area for the manga room, maybe where everybody could just chill, sit, and have some space so they can enjoy one. Even though the panels were great and they were really high energy, they were, half of them were in a separate building. They were at the Holiday Inn.
Yeah. And like we had mentioned, I understand why they did that. It was air conditioning, a lot bigger space to be utilized. But if you were just coming into the venue, you had no idea where these things were at. You had some smaller panels that were being held around the actual vicinity itself, but when we asked a lot of the staff,
they had no idea.
They had no idea where anything was. Now, granted, there was a lot of stuff laid out in the pamphlet, but if you're just asking a staff member where the panels are being held that you've heard about, there should be a little education on it.
But they did have an information booth. I just thought of that.
That's true.
We asked the information booth and they knew.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was in the pamphlet and we just didn't look.
Yeah.
But staff didn't know where anything was.
Yeah.
But they were still really nice.
Mm-hmm.
That was really it for opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really well-run convention, high quality, super fun, little to no complaints.
Honestly, like I said earlier, everybody seemed like they were really having a great time. It was a very fan service, very fan engaged convention. I don't have any complaints about it. I thought the whole thing was structured out well. I feel like the vibe of it was excellent. It didn't seem thrown together. It didn't seem too cluttered. It just felt, it was a very fun, very fluid time.
4 out of 5.
Anyways, thank you for watching. We're Real People Gaming with Real People Rating.
And we will be posting the walkthrough vlog of this event up here.